May we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you as always for every blessing that you give us. We thank you especially, Father, for your love and your mercy and for your protection, for your divine intervention, Father, in our lives to guide us and direct us. We pray, Father, that intervention tonight for our council as they conduct important business for the city. And it is important. Sometimes it's not very exciting, but it's all important. So we pray that you would give them wisdom and understanding as they go about their duties tonight. We just pray and ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Moving on to the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. Before we open up the Citizens Forum, I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Ellis for some announcements.
Okay, just wanted to inform everyone on May the 24th, there's going to be water racing at Lake Crook. It's from 10 to 5. And then on June 5th, the 903 concert series began. And that's going to be at 7 o'clock at the 8 West Plaza. Aaron Watson is the first entertainer. And for a full list of events, please visit paristexas.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. I'll go ahead and entertain anyone that would like to come speak at the Citizens Forum. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, y'all. Alvin Atwood, 2419 Bonham Street. First, I want to get out at this last meeting, our chief of police came under some scrutiny, and I get it's a tense situation or whatever, but I want to say I personally have noticed a improvement with Paris PD. I'm excited about what I'm seeing come out of there. I think they're doing a fantastic job. They're out here with the community. They're not trying to just take everybody to jail like we used to have. I mean, they're really good. I get that there's no perfect is an illusion. I think I've said that before. You're never going to get perfect with anybody. One person that ever walked the planet was perfect. But I think that they're sitting at a level above par. And I want to just give mine and my family's personal support and gratitude for what the chief of police has done with that department. Secondly, I have already myself come up with an idea for y'all. There's 2 ways inside of somebody's property, and that's a warrant or a probable cause. Other than that, you're looking at losing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to force your way in on people's property. I've already found a solution to that. That is not only just, it won't cost the citizens any more money. You don't have to penny pinch us anymore. And it is legal. And it's a way to get rid of these slumlords and some of the stuff that they're doing without violating anyone's rights or charging anyone any money with resources we already have. Government efficiency is a great way to solve that problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Atwood. Anyone else? All right. We will now close the Citizens Forum. Moving on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by single action of the council. With such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item from the agenda for discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
We got a motion. We got a second from Mr. Ellis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the regular agenda. We have had several council members that are not in attendance tonight, so we will need to defer items 10, 11, and 12 to our next city council meeting, which is scheduled for June 9th at 5:30 p.m. These are election items, and it's very important that we have all of our council members here. These are important matters that we want to discuss as a full quorum. So we will then move on to agenda item number 13. Convene an executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and or 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter, to wit, City of Paris versus S&P RMC. I would like to take a moment and entertain a motion. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to recuse myself due to a conflict of interest. So I'll make that motion, if I can hear a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Council will now go into executive session at approximately 5:37 p.m. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to bring myself back into the meeting.
So moved.
All right, we got a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. We will reconvene back into open session and possibly take action on matters discussed in executive session. I don't believe we had anything.
There is no action to be taken.
Fantastic. We will move on to item number 15, presentation of Heroism Award, Mr. Robert Lee Swaim, Mr. Zachary Nolan Jones, and Mr. Cameron Wayne Candida. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I gotta put my glasses on. So first off, it's always weird being up here to do a presentation. You don't never know which way to face, but I'd like to call up two of my command staff, Assistant Chief Randy Tuttle and Captain Terry Bull, to help me present these. They're very tenured employees. Randy's at 46 years, and I think Captain Bull is at 39. Okay, and now I'd like to also bring up Mr. Tom Milson with the Sons of the American Revolution. And it's a national organization. They presented here last year, they presented awards for several of our officers and firefighters. And then Mr. Milson's wife, Carol, is back here helping him today as well. So I'll go into this, and I'm going to read a citation to tell everybody to describe the events as best I can that is the basis for these awards. So I'll get started. The Public Service and Heroism Committee of the Red River Chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution, in collaboration with the City of Paris, wishes to recognize and honor 3 brave citizens of Paris with the Medal of Heroism for their outstanding bravery and self-sacrifice in the face of imminent danger to themselves and others. The award recipients, would you guys please stand as I call your name and remain standing? Mr. Robert Lee Swaim. And if y'all would move to the center of the room. Mr. Zachary Nolan Jones. Mr. Cameron Wayne Canada. And Mr. Swaim's mother's over here as well. So, on February 1st at approximately 1:30 p.m., the police department dispatch received a 911 call reporting a man with a gun at Swaim Hardware, 240 Southwest 1st Street, Paris, Texas. This case is still pending prosecution, so the defendant's name won't be named. He won't be named. He'll be referred to as the armed suspect or the suspect. So the call came in, an officer arrived, and these 3 gentlemen back here had the suspect pinned down, restrained, and so the officer, all he had to do was handcuff him, and then the investigation started. So what happened before that is nothing short of heroic. So what happened prior to the officer's arrival is nothing short of heroic, and while I may not be able to do these brave men justice in my narration, the entire event was captured on surveillance video, and some of you may have seen it because it did get leaked out to social media. So at approximately 1:30, the armed suspect arrived in the vicinity of Swaim's Hardware, where he parked his rented cargo van at the north end of the business. He then exited the van carrying a loaded AR-15 style assault rifle, loaded with a 30-round magazine and concealing a loaded 9mm semi-automatic pistol in his waistband. The suspect also possessed 2 additional fully loaded 30-round AR-15 magazines on his person. As the suspect walked south in the alley, he knew where he was going. As he walked south in the alley behind Swaim's Hardware store toward the business's back door, he was encountered by Mr. Cameron Wayne Canada, who he was still some distance from the back door, who asked the suspect if the rifle he was carrying was loaded. Excuse me. The armed suspect responded, "It sure is." You can tell when you watch this video that Mr. Canada's instincts were pinging. It wasn't unusual for people to bring firearms in there because I think Mr. Swaim's is a firearms dealer. Mr. Canada quickly went ahead of the armed suspect and briefly entered the hardware store to let Mr. Swaim know that an armed man was approaching the back door and had asked if Robert Swaim was in the store. Seconds before the suspect reached the back door of the business, Mr. Zachary Nolan Jones and Cameron Canada exited the back door to inquire what the suspect wanted. As Mr. Robert Lee Swaim was walking toward the business rear entrance from inside the store, he and the armed suspect looked at one another, or saw one another, and Mr. Swaim immediately recognized that the suspect was there to do him harm based on prior history. Mr. Swaim quickly moved out of the line of fire toward a phone to call 911. At the same instant, the armed suspect assumed a position to fire the AR-15, pointing it inside the business in the direction of Mr. Swaim. It was at this instant that Mr. Jones grabbed the AR-15 and began to try to wrestle it away from the armed suspect, who was bigger and stronger than Mr. Jones. Mr. Canada reacted immediately as well and joined in the struggle with Mr. Jones, somewhat evening up the odds, and together both of them were able to get the suspect to the ground, but he was still armed, and it was still not an even match. The suspect was still being able to overpower. It wasn't until Mr. Swaim ran out of the back door and joined the struggle that they were able to overpower the suspect. During that time, the suspect pulled the pistol out of his waistband, so Mr. Swaim and Mr. Jones had to wrestle that pistol away from him after they had wrestled the rifle away from him. He continued to struggle. So they stayed in the fight until they were able to disarm and restrain him until the Paris police officer arrived. Based on the history associated with the armed suspect and a search of the rented van, it was very evident that the armed suspect had intended to seriously harm or kill people inside of Swaim's hardware store that day. The store was occupied by approximately 8 to 10 people at the time of the incident, and the armed suspect was subsequently arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I can say that we also ended up having to call out the bomb squad for several hours to clear that van based on what was inside. So this entire confrontation lasted about 3 minutes, and that's a long time when you have to fight for your life. Had Mr. Zachary Jones not acted in the instant that he did, lives would have likely been lost. Had Mr. Cameron Canada not charged into the suspect to assist Mr. Jones in getting him to the ground, lives would have likely been lost. Had Mr. Robert Swaim not ran outside to assist employees in restraining and disarming the armed suspect, those in the immediate area of this suspect would have likely been killed. So that is what happened, and it is truly deserving that they are recognized and that they receive this award that Mr. Milson is going to present to them.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be back here again. Well, we were here last year, and we want to make this a yearly event. Chief Salter had sent me an email a few months ago, a month or two ago anyway, talking about this and how he wanted to recognize these 3 gentlemen in this way. As you know, we talked the last time about the Sons of the American Revolution, that we are basically a lineage organization that basically can show our lineage back to a patriot in the Revolutionary War, either that supplied goods and services or actually fought in the war. So one of our chief missions is to ensure that those people that did that to secure our freedom are not forgotten. Okay, so we work with youth to be able to ensure that they understand what happened there, and so we don't ever forget how we got the freedom that we enjoy today. We also work with our veterans. We do a lot of work up at the Bonham facility, taking things to them, doing a lot of things with the veterans, again, to recognize their sacrifices and the issues that they have now because of some of those sacrifices they made. And then the other thing that we do is we like to recognize our public service individuals such as police, fire, etc. And then we also like to recognize individual citizens who have basically shown acts of heroism. The medal and the certificate we're going to give you are based on just some pretty simple little facts here. I'll tell you what they were. And again, once we talked for a few moments about this, it was obvious that these gentlemen are heroes here in your community. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So really, it's pretty short relative to the Medal of Heroism that we provide. The Medal of Heroism recognizes outstanding bravery and self-sacrifice in the face of imminent danger, i.e. acts which involve great personal courage and risk to the recipient or recipients. It is intended primarily for acts performed by citizens, not in uniform, but does not exclude police, fire, and SAR members. So, again, I think based on what you heard here today, these gentlemen here fit the bill here. So with that, I'd like to give them their medal and certificates. If you would come up here a little bit. Hey, this is like flipping. Yeah. Swan. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, so this okay. Let's sort of do this at an angle here. So this medal, this says Robert Lee Swan, Medal for Heroism in recognition of outstanding bravery and self-sacrifice in the face of imminent danger, thus exemplifying the high ideas and principles which motivated and sustained our patriot ancestors. And it's signed here this date by me, the president of the Red River Valley chapter. It looks like I'm going to have to go home and fix that for you. Maybe that thing comes loose again, but we'll work on that. But anyway, so y'all can see it. Here's what it looks like. So I'll give that to you. Thank you, sir. Okay, and we'll get a picture made. You want to get in here yet? Flip again. It's coming. It's coming. It's kind of. There you go. I'm gonna have to fix that and bring that back to you. Okay, we'll get it close here. There you go. There it goes. There it goes. Gravity works. Okay. Let's see, that's back. Let me get this right. Yeah. Yes, sir. This is Zachary Nolan. Yes, sir. Jones. Okay. It says the same things here, the same comments again. Thank you so much for what you did for your community here. Okay. Thanks, sir. Okay. Cameron Wayne Canada? Yes, sir. Yes, okay.
Pound for pound, he's the strongest man in the room.
Yeah, I've got to see this video. I hear you hit the guy pretty hard in the back. Okay, so anyway, it says the same things there with your name on it. Again, and here's the medal of heroism that we give out. So we'll hold it here, and there you go. Over here, let me shake your hand, and then we'll do this. There you go. In front of you. Got it? Oh, here, there you go. Okay, we got it. Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you all for that wonderful presentation. Thank you for your heroism. I remember last year, the presentation was breathtaking. This year, same thing. So it's always It's always a pleasure to have this reminder that we have such great heroes within our community. So thank you. We will move on to agenda item number 16, receive an update on the Forest Brook project from Mr. Nathan Spalding. Mr. Spalding, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to present here tonight. What an amazing thing to follow. Thank you all for recognizing them, and thank you for those three men for that heroism. That's incredible. I didn't hear about that story until tonight. But I'm excited to be here and present kind of an update. It'll be relatively short, but just as an update of what's going on with Forest Brook Estates, we are set for our 2 remaining large concrete pours this week, and then that will wrap up pretty much all of the concrete for all the concrete streets and curb and gutter. And then the following week, next week, we'll have 2 other small concrete pours and just for touch-up concrete, little areas, and all the streets and connections will pretty much be poured by next week. And then after that, all that's really left is some finish grading on the lots, putting the stop signs and street signs up, putting the light posts and mailboxes and entry monuments, and we're pretty much done and ready to start having homes go up this summer and deliver those lots to our home builders. So we're really excited to see that. Our home builders are really excited. They're working really hard to start their marketing campaigns and to get all their packets ready to start getting homes under contract. So they're real excited, and we're excited to turn those lots over to the builders, but also have you all see the finished product out there. It's if you drive by, it looks like there's still a good amount to do, but it starts to go pretty quick here at the end, and you'll start seeing a finished product here really soon. So we're excited for you to see it. Most of the requirements that we had to have, we obviously met everything, but most things, a lot of things at least, we exceeded requirements on, and so we went above and beyond on a lot of the required finishes and went with some increased finishes that are more decorative, and there's only so much you can do to dress up the horizontal aspect of a neighborhood, but we think y'all are going to be really excited about what the finished product looks like here going forward. And that's really the most up-to-date information I can provide. That's what we've got going on here in the next couple of weeks and thereafter for the rest of the summer. Our home builders are going to be their schedule is looking to be pretty aggressive to put homes on the ground. They're going to start moving pretty quick once they get a hold of the lots. And we're excited to see that as well. But that's pretty much it as far as the update I have. I wanted to reserve anything else for any questions anyone might have if they had anything.
Council, any questions? I had one, Mr. Spalding.
Sure.
The main question, it sounds like we've gotten a good update from you regarding concrete, finished grade, and all the other kind of finishing pieces there. What is the anticipated timeline for the commencement of the construction by the home builders?
For them to start their builds, or how long it's going to take them to build homes?
To start.
To start, we should, as soon as they get a hold of the lots, they'll start aggressively putting homes down on the ground. So we're hoping in July we'll see the first slabs go down and framing start going up. The weather's looking pretty good. We had all that rain, but now it looks like, and knock on wood, it looks like we're going to get a break and things are going to start warming up. So if that's the case, we should be able to meet that in July for lots being delivered. As soon as they get the lots, they're eager to start putting homes up.
Fantastic. Well, that's good to know, and yeah, that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest questions we get when we're out, visiting with our constituents and our citizens, is just to know, hey, we're really excited about this project on the south portion of our town. When were we going to see some homes? And so we're really excited, and really excited for folks to be able to potentially live there. So it'll be great.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to providing some assistance on getting more home availability here in town, and there'll be with both of our builders, there'll be a mix of what people are looking for. One of the builders is going to be aggressive and starting to put spec homes up right away. The other one will do the same, but they will put less up, and they'll have more opportunity for people to come in and customize a lot. So there'll be a kind of a mix of both options, but there should be hopefully a good amount of inventory going up pretty quick. They're going to move pretty fast from what they're telling us. We've reviewed some of the floor plans and elevations they're going to be doing, and we think y'all are going to be really excited and happy with what they put up out there.
I just have one question. Has it been easy to work with the city on this project? Are you finding good response times and?
Yes.
Okay.
Response times have been great. We're really happy to be here. Like I said from the very beginning, it makes a huge difference being somewhere where the city wants you there and isn't fighting you every step of the way. And so we've been appreciative for that and excited to be here. And this is just one of many phases. So we're hoping to have much success and continue forward with future phases and continue to work collaboratively with the city. And I think we have some great opportunity for that with some other projects within the development for economic development and some other street infrastructure program or projects. And so we're excited to keep moving forward and keep the progress going.
Great. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Well, fantastic job, and we always appreciate it. And thank you for your investment in our community. I'm really looking forward to seeing the further progress of y'all's project. It's going to be great.
Of course, we appreciate you all. And when we get closer to having the lots be fully completed, and especially all the streets in, if council or any city staff would like to come out, we would be happy to walk you around and have some golf carts out there and show you around and kind of go through the site if anyone would like to. So just let us know, and if there's anything else we can provide, we'd be happy to. Just feel free to reach out.
We got one more
I
question.
have a question.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If someone's interested in building a home, who do they contact?
If they're interested in purchasing a home,
Yes,
so our
purchasing.
two builders are Wildwood Homes and D.R. Horton.
Okay.
And so D.R. Horton's sign is actually up. It needs to be, the dirt needs, from all that rain, needs to be cleaned up. But if you drive down Jefferson Road, the development sign is up, where you can go to the development website, and it has information on how to get to the development website, and both of our builders are on that forestbrooktexas.com website. But D.R. Horton has their sign up as well, and Wildwood should have theirs up, I believe, next week. But those are the two home builders, and you can reach out to them. I believe both of them have wait lists on lots open right now, actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's good to hear. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Spalding.
Thank you.
Sir. Moving on to agenda item number 17, receive a presentation from Michael Smith about the Public Works Department. Mr. Smith is the director of the Public Works Department, and he's going to give us a presentation about the many aspects of all the ongoings of Public Works.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members. Just quick on Public Works, what we do, staffing levels and everything. Public Works is made up of 12 departments. The Public Works main office, there's me and 2 secretaries there. We've got Parks and Right-of-Ways, which is seven employees there. Recreation is a department of 1. The Traffic and Compost site is a department of 5. Street Department's a department of 5. The Meter Department is 1. Fleet Maintenance is a department of 5. Water Distribution is 5. CIP Water Infrastructure has 3. Sewer Collection has 2. Sewer Infrastructure, CIP Sewer Infrastructure, my apologies, has 2. And then Lift Stations has 2 employees. With that, some of the stuff that we maintain in those departments is 25 parks consisting of over 258 acres, over 4,000 traffic signs, 200 miles of streets, 290 city vehicles, 150 pieces of equipment, 200 miles of water mains, 1,300 fire hydrants, 140 miles of drainage channels, 200 miles of sewer lines, 2,500 manholes, 30 miles of storm drain, 15 lift stations, and this is all maintained by 41 people. Wow. And that's just some of the stuff that my employees do. They do an excellent job, I feel.
Fantastic.
That's all I kind of made up there, sorry.
That's great. I'll definitely open it up to council for any questions or anything that you want to state.
4,000 stop signs.
Yes, sir, for over 4,000 traffic signs.
Amazing.
Are you fully staffed right now, or do you have some vacancies?
I've got a lot of vacancies.
Could
Yes,
you
ma'am.
describe how many or what?
So in each department or just?
Or just
in the
overall?
whole?
Yeah, general.
Uh,
Or where's the need most for?
Well, I mean, I'd like it across the board. But as far as budgeted, whenever I first come on, I was budgeted for about 80 employees.
Okay.
When I become director, as 5 years ago. Whenever I very first started with the city about 10 years ago, I was budgeted for over 100. I say me, Public Works. I was just inspector at the time.
Sure.
But so right now, I'm roughly 50% down on staffing. I need it across the board. Some departments, my garage is fully staffed right now. My CIP department's missing one employer. So some places are full according to our budget numbers, but all across the board, I'm 50% down.
That's tough.
Yes, sir.
Goodness. I do have a quick question. Let me just write this down here. If you had to pick a particular area that you would want to improve on, or have another department or have another facet that you get like several complaints on that you guys are having to do, what would that be? Is there a particular area that you would want to work on?
So that's also, I mean, honestly, that's a double-edged sword there, because you got the winter time and everything. Drainage is the big key right now. It's constantly, we're having flooding issues, we're having issues with creeks in general, being stopped up, trying to maintain them. And then summertime, whenever that gets done, people move on to the streets and potholes and stuff like that. So it's a revolving door there. But I mean, if I had to add something on there, besides staffing, I need staffing across the board. But if I had to add another department, I would like a drainage department for the city of Paris. Something just go through and that's all they do year round. And eventually, maybe we could get it all worked out. It'd be several years down the road, but we could work toward it.
Absolutely. And then the only other question, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a compliment. I'll tell you, throughout the course of the last 4 years I've been on council, I've had a lot of citizens and constituents that have come out and have asked, hey, we've got an issue here. We're kind of nervous about trying to tell the city about this one problem. Mm-hmm. You and your department have met the challenge every time, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. It's good that you guys are out and about because people see that, and a lot of times folks will say, well, what's our city doing for us? Well, I'll tell you, they're working really hard because every time that there is an issue, you guys are right there. Anytime I've ever asked, hey, can we meet a citizen? They're having this issue. You guys are always there. You tackle it very quickly, and I appreciate that. So I just want you to know that you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And I know that it's tough. I know that you guys are understaffed, but, there's no complaints on this end that I've heard from citizens. And if there are, then, hey, we want to fix it. Let us know.
Absolutely. All they got to do is call me. We'll make sure we take care of it our best of our ability.
Yes, sir. So very appreciative of all the endeavors you guys put forth, and really excited about the future.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
With you being short-staffed, is it anything we could do to help y'all? You being short-staffed?
Well, I mean, if you got nobody wanting to work, I'm sure taking some people. And if anybody wants to, I've got extra rakes and shovels we can get with it.
So that's a great question. I mean, and so with that being said, if someone wanted to apply,
Yes.
would they call City Hall and talk to Ms. Collard?
Yes, human resources. And the other thing that we've been working on since I got here is trying to raise some of those bottom wages, because I think we talked about this today. The starting wage is $13.50 an hour.
So for my M2, it's $13.77 to start out, which is roughly $28,000 a year. So, and that's my M2. The secretary started out a little lower than that.
And there's most places here in Paris now start out higher than that. And so the support of the council has been great to start the pay study. And then also we've been working with some of those lower wages, start them a little bit higher now. But that's not a permanent fix, because we need to get the pay study done and fix the compensation scale that we have. So you guys are supporting in that right now, because we're getting that done. So, and I have one more thing I'd like to just clarify. Can you repeat again how many parks we have and how many people we have to take care of the parks?
So the parks we have 25 parks, and that's a little over 258 acres that we have to mow and maintain. And in that department, I have 7. And when I say 7, that's including my superintendent, which also acts as my assistant public works director, Mr. Low Ranger, and the supervisor, Mr. Steve Wood.
Good Lord.
It's tough. I've actually went out and helped them mow every chance I get, so.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm just floored, and when I got to go tour Public Works recently, and MA did a great job taking me around, but I cannot believe how much they do with the amount of people. It's incredible, and also just their can-do attitude, because I know they're coming in every day behind. There's no way you could ever catch up, and to have people come in with such a positive attitude when they're up against a lot to get done, I'm just grateful to work with such wonderful people.
Like I said, I can't say enough about my staff. I do have a great staff. We like to cut up and have a good time down there at Public Works, so we're like a big family.
That's awesome. And I'll throw one more thing in. I kind of talked about this earlier. I've had a lot of citizens that have reached out, and they're like, man, is this a leak or what's going on? You guys are always interested in wanting to know if it is on the city side or the business or the private side. But if someone has a leak, you guys are okay to come out if it's something that's clearly a city-related situation. Like,
Absolutely. Just all they get is call Public Works, and we'll come out and we'll actually test it. We got stuff that tests the water for chlorine to see. If it has zero chlorine in there, typically it's just rainwater or runoff like that. But if it does have chlorine, then we'll start investigating a little better. See if it, because it still be, city side or customer side, and we'll try and figure out what's going on and help them best we can.
I had a citizen that had a leak in their cul-de-sac, and they have homes around this street, this cul-de-sac, and it had been leaked. There was a leak there that had been just piling up for months, and they were always nervous. They didn't know who to call, what to do, and as soon as she told me, I'd let you guys know, y'all fixed it. I mean, it was an easy fix. It's just a shame that it took so long for that awareness. And so if there's ever anything that is a concern, hey, give someone a call, and let's make sure we don't waste those assets and any of the resources we have in our community. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Just call, and we'll take care of whatever we can.
Awesome. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to agenda item number 18, discuss and act on an ordinance considering disannexation of approximately 71.20 acres of land forming a portion of the current southeastern boundary of the city located along the south of State Highway 271. Staff, do you have a presentation?
I do. This is the final consideration of 3 disannexation petitions from Dr. Kraft, the Cobb Testamentary Trust, and Paul and Shelley Morrison. And these parcels are south of State Highway 271 South, and it's approximately 71.2 acres in total. The reasons given on the petitions are the lack of water and sewer, and those are identical along the 3 petitions. We've done our publication and had our 2 public hearings, so it's time for the final consideration on an ordinance. The issue of water and sewer, the 2 applications for the Morrisons and the Cobb Testamentary Trust, those are agricultural properties, and there's no development on those. The Kraft property has an existing clinic on it, which has water and city water and sewer to it now. They are going to have to tear that down and rebuild further back on the property due to the highway widening on 271 South. But they could still connect to those same places. So it's not entirely true that there's no access to city water and sewer. I believe the water they're tapped into, and possibly the sewer, is through a private line from Woodall Field, and of course, a private line is not ours to maintain. It is the private owners to maintain, but it looks like there's sewer right there beside it. So the issue then is whether or not there are not those services provided, and I think that there are, and they get, of course, all the other services, fire, police, solid waste, collection, anything else that anybody else in Paris gets. The concern for the city is, particularly when that corridor gets widened, the possibility of development on those other tracks. I mean, they may stay agricultural forever, we don't know that, but they could possibly become more valuable when that highway's widened. And if those are developed, the city would be giving up property tax revenues. They're ag exempt right now, so it's not a big taxable value right now. But if they're developed, there would be more property tax there. If they're developed commercial, there's a possibility of sales tax revenues from there. So when surveying the staff recommends against this disannexation as not being in the best interest of the city. What you have before you are a resolution denying the disannexation, and then there is an ordinance that grants the disannexation. So that's you can determine whether to disannex all the properties, disannex some of the properties, or disannex none of the properties. And that's up to you.
I know we have some gentlemen here that wanted to speak. If you'll give me just a moment, I would like to go ahead and open the floor for discussion with council in case you have any questions for these gentlemen. And I'll also allow them to go ahead and introduce themselves since they are representing the father. So please.
Yes, thank you, guys. I would like to thank the council members and the mayor for allowing us time to speak. This is a matter that's previously been handled by my dad. He's not here where he can answer your questions. We would just like to be available to answer the best of our ability. I'm Trey Craft. This is my brother, Jack Craft. What Stephanie's told you is correct. We do have access to water. We don't have an easement to get to it to fix it on the loop. That is not necessarily the city's problem. That's our problem. I don't know about the sewer. Was his argument, but I understand that you need to do what's in the best interest of the city. I'm just trying to protect my business with future ability to see cattle, horses, pigs. We saw pigs last week. We see cattle and horses every day. To her point, there may come a day where that may not be agricultural land, and I understand that consideration. I just don't want to be working on cattle next. If I have to build a new facility, it's going to be hard to make that appropriate to work next to a neighborhood, and there's a neighborhood not far away. That's my fault, but when we moved out there originally, we were out in the country, and we don't want to be a nuisance to the city. I'm here to answer any questions I can to the best of my ability. I've only been out a couple years. We've been there for 30 years, so we've been in the city for 10. But we'd like to answer any questions we can. We want to be as transparent as humanly possible. I know it's a tough decision, but we're just trying to protect the essence of our business.
As to the being inside or outside the city limits with respect to using that with cattle and whatnot, if there's already neighbors there, where the city limit sign is drawn doesn't really affect that one way or the other. So anyway, that's what staff recommends.
Okay.
What is your relationship with animal control, since you are a vet clinic and that is a city service?
As far as I know, there may be other clinics they use to receive those cases. I think we're the sole servicing entity to them when they have a call. So I'll receive rabies, potential quarantines on my front sidewalk. I mean, I've had rabies cases that were horses and cows in my pens behind there. But my relationship with them is if they call me, I take a case any hour, day or night to go up there to try to do the best I can.
Sure. So would the city still be able to use them as since it is a city service, I just didn't know if that doesn't call or makes a barrier of that relationship.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand that. I think that our relationship with them may have predated the fact when we were annexed in. I couldn't answer that. I'm sorry. That'd be a question for my dad.
Sure.
That'd be a question for Stephanie. I couldn't tell you that. We do take their cases all the time, though.
There would be no preclusion from that happening.
Okay.
It's, if they decide they don't want to take those cases anymore, that's certainly their prerogative. But we don't have any reason to believe that would be the case.
No, either way.
I'll start off and say this. When this was introduced, how many months ago has this been now?
It's been a while.
77 days.
It's 77 days that we formally instituted the proceedings, and it has to be completed in 90.
Yes, ma'am.
My thought process on this was, man, that's a lot of land. And then I kind of spoke with Dr. Kraft. I have a lot of respect for Dr. Kraft and what he provides to our community. Y'all's business is an integral part of our community. So please don't ever say you're a nuisance. You're not. It's a
Unless there's bulls out on 271 South, which happens every now and then.
That's true. But we genuinely appreciate the business that you guys provide here in our community. And so I did hear Dr. Kraft out and understood at that time of some of the challenges he had. But I'll say this, after many days and weeks of thought about this, I'm on the side of keeping you guys within the city for this reason. Look, we have a great community development department. And if there is an issue, I've seen them work some really crazy situations where they've had challenges with easements and things like that. I've seen them work some pretty interesting scenarios. I always sit here and I tout them and I say, hey, they're great. I want to put them to the test on this and help you guys out. But I think that you guys are an asset, and that's what it kind of boiled down to for me personally on this decision is you guys are an asset in our community. We appreciate you all. But not just that. Secondly, the biggest thing that becomes a burden for us on council from the city portion of it, in any of the cities, the 1,000 some odd cities that are within Texas, they'll tell you the same thing. Austin's kind of taken a hit on city governance, and we don't get a chance to annex. Once we disannex a piece of property, it's gone. And so that's a tough pill to swallow for us. And at the end of the day, when we have to think about our votes and think about how we're going to represent our constituents, if I were to be asked, hey, why did you let that piece of property go with the development, with the future development, the opportunity that you just don't know what's going to happen? That's a tough one to have to answer.
Absolutely, yes, sir. I understand that, and again, respectfully, we understand that we don't want to stand in the way of progress for the city. We would take whatever we could get. I mean, if we can, you guys need to vote on your own good faith. Even if you just let us out, you need to vote on where your heart puts you, and I understand that and respect that. I respect the mayor's opinion. That's all totally valid, and we're just trying to present our side and do the best we can do.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
What would the advantage be to the annex, just the clinic, but not the property?
What would the advantage be? I think
Or
from,
disadvantage?
for the city, I don't think there is any advantage. It is going to remain developed. So there is property tax on developed property that we would lose.
And can you explain a hole situation when there's a hole in adjacent properties? I think that's helpful this isn't a hole.
This
would
wouldn't
not
be a hole.
but-
One of the things that you can't do, and we've had people ask this before, is, I don't think I'm getting good enough city services, and I want to just disannex my property. Well, they're not on the border. They're not on the city limits line. They're in the middle of the city, and it would create this hole in the middle of the city. So there's this little island surrounded by the city, and you can't do that. That's not an issue here, and that city limits line, honestly, is kind of, there's not the city limits sign is not a perfect oval. It's all kind of jiggity-jaggedy anyway. It would just be a different jiggity-jaggedy if you let out one property and not the others. Because your city limits line would, let's see, what would it do? It would kind of do this. Instead of this. So, from the city's standpoint, it would not be an advantage that I can see, but.
I think all the reasons that you gave Stephanie and Mihir, my position is opportunity for the future. We never know what's going to happen, especially with the expansion of 271. You're right by Woodall in a ballpark that people love. It's a really a destination place for a lot of young families. I can easily see a housing like Forest Brook come around the loop. So I'm just thinking of that opportunity. As much as I respect your family and your service to the community, I think y'all are sitting on very valuable land.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I agree. I have great respect for y'all's family. Thank you for everything you do in the community, not just for your patients and clients, but in all the other organizations. But it's just so much land that's going to be on a 4-lane highway that's makes it tough. If y'all were the last property on there, I would be for the annexation, but the other properties just make
Sure.
it really hard.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I think that's the hard thing, as individuals, we want to help you guys, your family, you've been here a long time.
Sure.
But at the same time, as everybody's been saying, we're charged with the responsibility of benefiting the city.
Yes, sir. We understand and appreciate that.
Ms. Moore, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
I'll cancel, hearing your thoughts on this, I'll entertain a motion either way you guys want to go.
I make a motion to deny the de-annexation request.
I second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Agenda item number 19, discuss and act on the amendment of a lease agreement for property located at the airport between the City of Paris and Carrie Etherly and Ryan Etherly, decreasing the acreage leased by 85.85 acres, issuing a refund in the amount of $1,287.75 with a new annual payment due on May 15, 2025 in the amount of $9,195.75. We actually need to get, I know this item's on the table, so prior to us discussing this, I'll need a motion in a second to remove this item from the table.
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Staff, do you have a presentation on this item?
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of Damon and Mr. Vine. All the numbers that he just read are incorrect, and that's just based on an incorrect previous memo. But the idea is the same. There is a pasture lease covering 698.9 acres around and north of Cox Field that the Etherlys have been leasing for some time from the city. There has now been hangar development up along that northern part of the airport with the possibility, of very good possibility and very big interest on developing further north. And the lease has a provision that the city, at the city's sole option, can cancel the lease as to all or any portion of that acreage to provide for airport development. And so what the airport needs to do is reduce that overall acreage by 95.59 acres to provide for the development in any necessary taxiways or other infrastructure. The reduction of acreage will reduce the annual payment by $1,455. And so the lease payment, annual lease payment will go down from $10,483.50 to $9,028.75. There may be a need for a refund, but I need to speak with Mr. Vine about that because that lease payment runs from May to May, and I don't think we're going to owe them any refund, but we'll determine that. So what we need you to do is act and approve the amended lease that takes that acreage out of it and reduces the annual lease payment.
I'll go ahead and entertain any kind of discussion or any kind of questions that are open here.
I move that we approve item 19 at 95.95 acres, refund of $1,455 for a total of $9,028.75.
We've got a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 20, discuss and act on revisions to the 5 and 5 housing program guidelines as related to the neighborhood uniformity. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ever since the infill program was started in January 2022, it has been revised several times. And currently, we are looking at a neighborhood uniformity concept that we want to put into the program. And Council member Alex has pushed this idea strongly, and ever since it came to discussion before you, that was in April 14th, and recently the last Friday workshop on May 9th, Council has come to some agreement as to definitions and some guidelines. That is what is before you today. I would like to go through a little bit of the definition and concepts with you, what is before you. If you look at the revised, that is for today's guideline, under section 1, general purposes and objectives, the last sentence, it says, the city further seeks to ensure that new construction within the program area and undertaking in connection with the program is consistent with the existing housing within the neighborhood in which it is being built, so as to provide a pleasant aesthetic for both current and new residents in the area. That's page 1. If you go to page 2, under definitions of terms, it defines neighborhood uniformity. It reads, consistency or similarity in the characteristics of homes, properties, and overall design within a specific neighborhood, primarily concerned with the maintaining consistency and cohesion in architectural styles within a given street, block, or larger area. So that would be the definition for this neighborhood uniformity. If you get to page 3 of 7, it talks about the eligibility and guidelines. And under that, you have limitations. So if you go to number 3, that is where a lot of discussion went on. And the conclusion was that we are going to amend it and add pre-approved building plans that may be accepted. And it reads, examples of acceptable architectural styles may be found in Appendix A, attached here to. That is what we're going to come up with, a catalog of designs at a later time to add to this guidelines amendment, and where applicant will have to follow these design guidelines. And so it goes on to say applicants are advised to consult the photographs when completing their designs to determine whether a given style is consistent with the homes in the immediate area of any parcel upon which applicant wishes to build. So this Appendix A, which is to be added, will show what the applicant will have to go through and select out of. And then it says the city may deny approval to any design, even if consistent with an example in this Appendix A, if it is not consistent with structures in the surrounding neighborhood of the particular parcel. If you go to the number 5, with neighborhood uniformity, it talks about applicant will submit proposed designs for each dwelling unit sought to be built as part of the agreement. Such designs must bear neighborhood uniformity in mind and must be built as part of the agreement. It must conform in basic architectural style to the existing homes in the area in which the structures are to be built. A design for one neighborhood may not be appropriate for another neighborhood in which the applicant seeks to build. So, a tailoring of designs to individual neighborhood is required. It also reads that no flat or shed-type roof lines will be permitted. Submitted designs are subject to approval of the city, and once approved, the applicant, developer, builder may not deviate from those designs without prior written approval of the city. So these are some of the revisions that we are going to add to it. And based on that, we currently have about 4 applications for this 5 and 5 agreement pending, and all of which are scheduled to be presented to council for this upcoming June 9th meeting. When council imposed the first moratorium in 2024, it did not extend to these pending applications. So staff would recommend against doing that now for moratorium. So what is before you is to approve what we have for you today, and we recommend that you approve these revisions to the guidelines and criteria of the 5 and 5 housing infill program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, I want to open up discussion and any questions we may have for staff at this time.
I didn't understand the last statement with 4 new applicants. Would they fall under this then?
Say that again?
The 4 new 5 on 5 applicants would fall under this revised guidelines. Is that correct?
So what it is saying is that even if we look at this, it should not affect their application.
So essentially, they're going to be grandfathered in, is that correct?
Essentially, although we have had success, if we did not like a particular submittal of a design, we've had success with developers saying this is not consistent with the neighborhood, can you give us something else? And we've been successful doing that. And I have not reviewed the specific designs submitted with those applications to know if there's any issue with those or not.
Yeah, we will talk to them if we feel something, and hopefully they will. It has never been an issue talking to them, and they are adjusting it. So.
Thank you so much, Jose, for working on this and using the word to describe strong, my opinion about putting some neighborhood uniformity language in this policy. I know you worked hard on that in the city, and Stephanie. I feel really good, and the workshop was really positive. And I do, one thing, I would wish that this was enacted retroactively, because that's for people's plans that we actually haven't seen. We don't know, and I don't think it's unreasonable. It's not, things have not been built yet. I don't want to make it difficult for them, but that could be up to 20 homes, so.
Yeah, okay.
If you choose to make them retroactively, we can make them retroactive. That's a council decision.
Sure. I accepted the last time we voted on this, hoping that with this language would be solidified so we didn't have to say, oh, it's not for the next 4 applicants. So that's my position.
The only issue, I guess it's legal, like if there's an amendment and there has been an application in effect already, that process, I guess legal can.
Well, this is this is not an entitlement, and it is not an ordinance, it's not a law. So there's, you can't pass a law that is retroactive. But I think we could apply this retroactively, and the developer can choose whether or not to work with us on that or not.
Yeah.
We've got lots of people lining up to participate in the program.
Correct.
So we can't keep changing our minds. 1 minute, we're saying this, and the next minute, we're saying that. I just don't agree with that.
What?
In terms of
Of the 4 applicants.
the 4 applicants?
Yes.
Yeah, so what legal is saying is that this is a program by the city.
Right.
Which is different from a general application that is different. And so the city, as a program, we get to determine that whatever we bring to it to make it better, all applicants can have to follow. So.
I mean, and the goal of the language is really just to work more with the city, I think. I mean, it's a partnership that they have, you have the neighborhood uniformity. We decided we are afraid of more shed-like structures that don't match. And it's the communication between the city and the developer will be a good balance.
Well, and I think what you can do too, because you've been very, very vocal as a council, not wanting the flat roofs and the shed type roofs is, there's not an issue with telling an applicant, it is unlikely that your agreement will be approved by the city council with a shed type roof design. Because the ultimate decision on whether to approve an agreement is yours. So the whole thing could go through and we could say it doesn't apply, but you guys could say we're not going to approve the agreement. So there's not an issue with telling folks, look, if you want this to be approved, this is what's going to need to happen.
And I agree with what you're saying, Stephanie. I believe that, look, at the end of the day, each of these applicants come to council to get approval.
Correct.
If we don't like it, the onus is on us, right? We've got that say-so to say, hey, listen, we don't agree with this design, right? Everything else looks great. Come back to the drawing board and let's redesign this thing, right? I will say, from the retroactive standpoint, I'm a little softer on that. Reason why I say that is because it kind of reminds me of a issue we had a long time ago where, hey, look, there was a precedent. They signed up at this time. This was the precedent at that time, and then now all of a sudden we change it right before they get to the finish line. I would like to finagle that and kind of really work with those builders to really have a good discussion on that item. But again, the onus is on us. We approve or we deny it as a body, as a governmental body. And so for those 4, I'm a little bit softer on that to say, look, let's see what they're talking about. But I'm very strong on this resolution here. I think this is what we've needed the whole time, and I appreciate the process that we've had to go through, the challenges we've gone through together to have this discussion, but to come up with a sound product that helps guide us where we need to go.
Yeah, Stephanie has done a very good job doing refined definitions and additions. So we will talk. I'm very confident that applicants will not come up with any issues with discussions on design concepts. So we will talk to them, and if anything, we will let you know.
I agree with this too, but I just me, myself, I was talking about the 4 applicants. You know, we just can't say, okay, no, then yes, we need to make up our mind. Okay, we're gonna keep it like we had it, or we're gonna go with this here. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So
But I agree. Job well done. I agree.
Mr. Ellis?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I want to hear whatever kind of motion you all want to craft on this after having that discussion.
I make a motion to approve the new revisions to the 5 and 5 housing program guidelines with the added neighborhood uniformity language.
I second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries
Thank you.
gladly 5-0. All right. Good job, team. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 22. Oh, sorry, 21. I'm jumping ahead here. I apologize. Agenda item number 21, discuss and amend the policy for public speaking at Citizens Forum. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Do you have a presentation?
Oh, well, I could, yeah.
Well, we had a workshop item on changing or adopting in the first place some guidelines and rules for conduct of people in city council meetings. And what we ended up on was adopting a policy that limits a hard limit on 2 minutes per speaker without allowing a speaker to, or anybody to cede their time to another speaker. So we would not allow that to happen. Any topic that's related to city business is allowable. The chair is going to the chair of the meeting will determine if it's getting too far off topic from city business. We have let's see, where are we? Then we've got some items that are that address the fact that it is a violation of state law. It's a Class B misdemeanor to disrupt a public meeting, and this is not in response to anything specific. I don't want anybody to feel judged by anything. It's just when we were discussing the 2 minutes and all that, it seemed appropriate to address this at the same time. It lists some things that are deemed unacceptable, disruptive conduct, and provides a procedure for the chair of the meeting to first tell a speaker, or it could be just an unruly person in the audience, to say, you need to stop that, that's disruptive conduct. Second stage is, if you don't stop this, you will be removed. And the third thing is, please remove this person. So that's what the proposed policy will do. It also addresses fire code limitations on the number of people who can be in the meeting because of occupancy limits. So those are the changes that the workshop determined were the things that we wanted to adopt. And so you have a draft of that. I think that we were able to capture the outcome of that meeting.
Council, any discussions? I will say, I really appreciate council coming together, staff coming together to formulate a good idea of what we want. Our goal is not to necessarily limit someone, but we have to have decorum, and I appreciate that value there. We have to look out for what's right and what we need to do to take care of business, and not to belabor the point on certain items that come up within our meetings. So we have to look out for that, and I appreciate that. So this is a good deal, and I think that there's always been somewhat, just to be transparent, I think there's always been somewhat of a confusion of what do we do when there is a situation? What is a scenario that pops up that we have to call something out? Or, it's few and far between that ever happens, but it's good to know the precedent.
Well,
So I
what you don't
appreciate
want to have happen is there be an incident and you don't have a clear method of dealing with it.
Amen.
And that's when you can kind of get in trouble.
Yes, absolutely. So I appreciate this process, and it's been a good one.
And the workshop was really helpful because we got to see what other cities do, what large cities do, that you actually have to register to speak. Our council did not want to do that. We feel like it is an open forum, but just decorum was the goal, so.
And just to add on to that, even after doing our research, even some cities would even say, hey, listen, you can only speak about the items that are listed within the agenda. I mean, that limits a lot of things, right? And so some people may want to come and say, hey, I have a leak that I want to talk about. We didn't know about it, but they feel empowered to be able to come up and speak about it. And then sometimes we hear compliments on city staff and the things that are going on in our community, which is great. We want to hear that feedback. And so I appreciate the openness of that, that language. All right. If there's no further discussion, I'll hear a motion.
I make a motion to approve the amendment of the policy for public speaking at the Citizens Forum.
We've got a motion. Second by Mr. Ellis. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Agenda item number 22, receive presentation by Samco Capital Markets, the city's financial advisor, regarding the potential issuance of tax notes to finance the purchase of fire department vehicles and equipment, authorizing city staff and consultants to proceed with the financing and other matters. Mr. Cunningham is here from Samco to give us our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Handed out a proposed timeline here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's okay.
Okay. He's not here long.
Well, last 2 weeks ago at the prior meeting, we had kind of did an overview about financing a fire truck and fire apparatus through the issuance of tax notes. So we wanted to follow up on that after the overview. So what you have in front of you is a proposed timetable if you do want to go ahead and move forward with it. Now, tax notes would only require one issue by the city council if you would want to do it. So if you do want to go ahead and go forward with it, we begin the process of getting the offering document together, the financials for the city, overall assessment of it, and get to bond council, which goes out to the investors when we ultimately want to sell it. We would, if the council does want to move forward, we would sell it at the second council meeting in June, at the June 23rd meeting, and then you'd have funds about 30 days later into your account to go out and purchase that fire apparatus or enter into a purchase agreement for that. So what we do is we go out the process, we get the offering document in place, we go to Moody's rating to get a rating on this to publicly sell it, and then go out and get underwriters enlisted, and then they sell it at the lowest offering price. So we talked before about a little bit of volatility in the market. You saw with the tariffs today, the stock market surged, yields on bonds went up 10%, but we still think we're in a good, historically, we're definitely in a good interest rate environment, but there is a little bit of volatility out there. So I'm glad to get into any more discussion on this, on the process, on the market rates. But as I said before, we kind of went over the overview, and now what we're looking for is direction from the council and staff. If you do want to go forward with the tax notes, we'd come back here at the second June meeting, and we'd look for you to authorize the sale of those and money in your account 30 days later.
Council, I'll open the floor for discussion.
And when does this tax note mature? How long?
So it'll be a 7-year
7
maturity. It can
maturity.
be a maximum up to 7, and we've built in that it would be 7-year maturity.
And we currently have, this is a Jean question, we currently have a tax note that is about to mature. Sorry, Jean.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. It matures next year.
Okay, and how much was that amount for? How much was that amount, the initial?
It was about $1.5 million. We bought some vehicles and other equipment for Public Works primarily with it.
Okay, thank you.
And when that one matures, we can't have two open at the same time, is that correct?
No, we can't.
Yes,
can?
you can. They're for
Okay.
different purposes. So the note will be for a specific purpose for this, and the prior one had a different purpose, but you can have, there's not a limit that I'm aware of under the law of how many tax notes you could have, but you definitely have two.
There's a question we had, I wasn't sure about that one. I know during discussions, trying to figure this thing out, really wanted to know that. So thank you. This has been a learning process, and I'm glad we're going through this. This is neat. Anyone else?
I don't want to really say anything. Obviously, next council approves this in a few weeks. Yeah.
I'll say this, I think that this is a good move. This is an opportune time, especially with the other one. I know it's not related, but especially with the other tax note, coming to full maturation next year, I think that this is a time. We really need this. And I know Chief is asking for this, or Fire Department's asking for this. We really need these trucks and the tools that they need to be able to move forward and be able to operate in a safe environment for this city. So I'm all for it. That's my personal opinion and vote on it. I think it's the smart thing to do as opposed to the alternative and taking it out of general fund and going through that whole nightmare. Don't even want to go there, so. If there's no more discussion or any questions, we'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve the issuance of the tax notes to finance the fire department's equipment.
We got a motion in a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looking at Mr. Kessel as his last item here.
Spend some money.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you
Good
so
to work with
much.
staff, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Moving on to agenda item number 23, we're starting to see the light here. Consider and approve future events for city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything? Okay. We will then move to agenda item number 24, adjournment. I will hear a motion in a second.
On behalf of Gary,
If Mayor Pro Tem's listening out there, Mickey just patched you in there. So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0.